welcome back to it. We're going to look at some fun IXL stuff today. So today we're going to be learning about commas and comma usage. First, I'm going to walk you through this help sheet, and then I'm going to move on to show you a couple of difficult IXL questions on IXL CC.1 and CC.2. So let's jump into the help sheet. CC.1 I've shortened here to comma usage. The actual name of the assignment in IXL is commas with direct addresses, introductory elements, absolute phrases, interjections, interrupters, and antithetical phrases. I'm going to talk about what each of those things mean. So here are the instances where you're going to use a comma. First of all, you're going to use it after interjections or emotional words and introductory words. So you're going to use a comma after mild interjections, these emotional words like oh or wow or yay. Yes is another one. No is another one. Well and however are also words that could be considered interjections or introductory words. So we kind of know this comma after the introductory word thing, but absolutely remember to put it after something such as oh or no or yes. So like these examples here, oh, the sunset is so beautiful. Yes, that sounds great. Second instance where you're going to use commas would be after introductory phrases. So that's what we touched on a little bit up here, except in this instance, it's introductory phrases instead of just introductory words. So in just a few weeks, Mr. Chen will be leaving for his trip to France. Breathing heavily, Maddie sprinted the last few meters of the race. In both instances, we don't really need these little phrases that kind of set up the situation for this part of the sentence to be a complete sentence. However, this gives us an introduction of what we're looking at, where we are, what somebody is doing while they're in the midst of running a race. These introductory phrases come at the beginning, and you stick a comma right after them to give a little bit more information in the sentence. Now, you can also use a comma before or after absolute phrases. Now, to know where you're going to put these commas, you have to know what absolute phrases are. An absolute phrase is a phrase that consists of a noun followed by a participle phrase, adjective phrase, or another modifier. So something like this: hands shaking. There's our noun, and there's our modifier, shaking. Her clothes were already wet from the rain. There's our noun, and then the rest of the sentence is a phrase describing how she's already wet from the rain. In this instance, a lot of times when you have an absolute phrase, again, just like introductory phrases, you could actually take it out for the sentence to still make sense. So Tony opened the letter and read it out loud. We don't need that handshaking part, but it adds a little bit of interest into the sentence. Amanda rushed inside the house. So we still got a complete sentence there, but this gives us more information. So if you need to know where you're going to put that comma, think about what is your complete sentence and what is your incomplete sentence, and you've got to set that incomplete sentence off with a comma because you've got an absolute phrase. To indicate a direct address, this is another time that you would use a comma. So if you're talking to a friend and you say, Bella, thank you, or thank you, Bella, for your help, you're going to set that name off with a comma every time. All right, so this is another place that you would use a comma to set aside an interrupter. So an interrupter is a word, phrase, or a clause that interrupts the sentence with extra information. So you, of course, may have a different opinion. This is extra, so you could take this out once again. You could say, you may have a different opinion, but to add that, of course, it gives us just a little bit extra interest and information in the sentence. The new theme park won't open, I'm sorry to say, until next year. A lot of times authors in fictional writing will use this to kind of characterize. It just adds in a little bit more info, a little bit more heart or character to a sentence. And then you can also set aside antithetical phrases. So these are phrases that are they'll typically start with not or unlike. They sort of go against what's going on in the sentence. So for example, Alexander the Greek was Macedonian, not Greek. So we've got, Alexander the Great, not Alexander the Greek. That's antithetical there. Alexander the Great was Macedonian, not Greek. So we've got this information that some people believe is true, that Alexander the Great was Greek. He was technically Macedonian. So this little not Greek thing right here would be considered an antithetical phrase. Same here, unlike Megan, Tara, unlike Megan, finds chemistry fascinating. So there are your places where you're typically going to use commas. These are just kind of the general overall things and places where you're going to use such a thing. Now, for C2, this one's easy. You've been using commas like this probably your whole life. You're going to use it when you're listing something off in a series. So you've got red, white, and blue are the colors of the American flag. There's our list, and there we have all of the commas in our little series. We've also got college. Costs typically include tuition, room and board, and textbooks. Now, I know what you're thinking. Maybe there should be a comma right here with room and board. Isn't that part of the series? Typically and traditionally in our society, room and board is considered to be one thing. So it's one item and it's treated as one item, as if room and board were all one word. You might run into that in your IXL, so keep an eye open for words that you would typically say together in a series like that. Those ones will not need commas. Now, here's a fun little one. Anytime you see a date, the year should be set off with commas. So January 1st, 2001 was the first day of this century. There we go. And then Gandhi was born on October 2nd, 1869. So that year is always going to be set off by a comma. So if you ever get confused, I used to get confused when I was like growing up that you would have to put a comma after every element of the date, which is funny, but it only goes before the year in order to set that off. And last but not least, we've got places. This one's straightforward. When the name of a city is used with the name of its state or country, use commas to set off the state or country name. So Chicago, Illinois is known as the Windy City. We've just booked our flights to Athens, Greece. All right, so these little pieces are set off by their respective commas because Greece is the country, Illinois is the state, and then we're dealing with cities in both situations here. So always set off the state or country with a comma. That's our help sheet for you. And now I'm going to move on to a little bit of IXL practice. It's just so you kind of get the hang of what you're supposed to do with this IXL. So I've answered a few of them just to get the hang of it. But this one is not super tough, but it is an example of those really great introductory interjection phrases. So in this case, you're going to read the sentence, wow, I'll be flying to Moscow in just a few days. Hey, do you have that Russian phrase book I loaned you? So we're looking to insert a total of 2 commas or remove commas. So there are no commas here, so I know that I'm just going to be inserting. And I know that I have I've got 2 interjections. So I'm going to definitely take a look at wow and hey. Wow and hey both need to be set off by commas. Those are my 2 interjections. Now I've got 2 commas and I think I'm good to go. So let's see. Woohoo! All right, now I need to do the same thing again, insert or remove commas, and then end with a total of 2 commas. So I've got 1 comma right here, and that is it. So I know that I either need to find 1 comma to put in, or find 2 commas to put in and remove this comma here. So to climb Denali was Mrs. Carey's goal. She was concerned, though, about improving her overall fitness first. Okay, well, she was concerned, though. Yeah, that though is good, and that comma is fine right there, so I can leave that because we have that interrupting word that is kind of coming in to interrupt the sentence with some extra information. So maybe I just need to put this other comma here, because since we do have to set it aside with commas, that though should have another comma so that it is set aside from the sentence and it is separated. Let's see if we're right. Whew. All right, there should be a total of 1 comma. Oh my, so that means I need to take this one out or just say that it is correct. So, Monica, you're a wonder. How do you manage to accomplish so much in so little time? Okay, so just reading that aloud, I know that that comma does not belong there. So I need to take it out. I'm going to take it out. And then I need to put one in so that we can submit. Let's see. I've got a name here. So anytime I'm addressing a person by their name, I know that I need to have a comma afterwards. And there we go. All right, that is commas for you guys. Please make sure you email your teacher if you need any help with this. And look at this, we're already at a SMART score of 55. Super close. So you guys should have an easy time with this IXL. Let your teacher know if you need any help and have a fantastic day.